Hey y'all, welcome to Candid Conversations with Carlo. Hey Misty.
Hey, Carla. It's nice to be here again.
Yes. And so today we are talking about grief. Um, what are your thoughts about grief?
I think grief is unexpected, but what I really know about grief is that it comes when you love so much and so dearly. Is it's the loss of something, and it could be anything. It could be a person, a job, a relationship, a change, just life change. A grief could be anything. It's when you love something so much and then you lose it, or the thought of it.
Oh wow, I actually want to talk about grief when, we actually lose someone.
Okay.
Um, what are some of the have you first of all have you dealt with grief?
I have dealt with grief.
Mm-hmm.
And At first, grief to me wasn't a big thing because the grief that I had was people that I expected to pass before me, like my grandparent, an uncle, but not anything where it was unexpected. I think when you get those unexpected spurts of grief, I think that it takes a different toll on you
Yeah.
because you're just not even expecting it.
Right. Especially like if you see, someone who you just saw them and now, they seem perfectly fine and now, they're no longer here. I know I recently just had a loss and I took it a lot harder than normal. He was my former pastor. But you know what? I discovered new things when he passed away. I discovered that he wasn't just my pastor, but he was not even just a spiritual father, but like the father that I never had.
Oh, wow.
And so, discovery in grief is, challenging. It can be challenging and rewarding all in the same because I realized that I had a deeper relationship even with him, you know? And so, like, wow.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is, especially when you have that father figure. So grief came with me like a compounded thing. I remember losing my stepdad, and then a few months later losing my nephew, and then the very next year. So this is within a year's time, losing my dad,
Oh, wow.
and then losing my husband, and within like 11-month time, so it's not even 12 years until I'm losing four men at different ages, different stages of their lives, all at one time, and then trying to have to process that because me and my mother became widows at the same time, and it was hard to try to help navigate through that because how could I help her? How could she help me through the process?
Wow.
And so I took different avenues. Probably there's no blueprint on the kind of avenues that you need to take, but I really poured myself into God and my walk with Jesus.
Wow. Yeah, and just even losing my former pastor. At first I didn't even have language for it because I didn't realize the impact, the magnitude of the impact. I knew he had a great impact on my life, but I didn't realize the magnitude of the impact. And it wasn't until, he, I began to really assess like the everyday things that I do and how much, he had to influence that, whether it was a conversation, whether it was his teachings, or even some of the things or in ways that he actually had, poured into me. And so it was just, I had to literally dig down deep and just realize, even the point in which he entered my life and how, where I was at the time and just how far I had come. Because like I said, I didn't have language for, what I was feeling because it was like, it was so deep and I didn't understand why I was like, I couldn't stop crying. And, not to say that I didn't expect to grieve. It's just that I didn't expect for it to be that deep,
Right.
you know, to the point where, you know, I'm crying deeply and I'm crying, you know, and that's because our relationship was a lot deeper than what I even knew.
Right. At that time, because you don't even realize you're not
Mm-hmm.
expecting that person to leave. And so mine were little triggers, like having to wash my vehicle for the first time,
Oh, wow.
or checking my tire pressure, or just the little things. And then I would bust out crying, or like being on an airplane and having to just tote my own luggage. And it was just the simplest thing. And but in my grieving process, I cried wherever I was, because I never felt sad. I never felt bad to show my emotions in public and whatever. I said, if I'm gonna go through this grieving process, I'm gonna cry wherever I'm at. If somebody consoles me
That's
or
good.
asks me, that'd be one thing. But if they didn't, it would be okay too. So, I remember being on the plane flying so many places, and just a man putting his arm around a woman, like in the seat in front of me, it would trigger me, and I would start crying on the plane, just knowing that I wouldn't, have that anymore. That I wouldn't have my spouse to be there to put his arm around me, or to just be there, period. And so I would just cry, and I was okay with that, and I really just didn't care what anybody thought about that, because I needed to cry, I needed to cleanse, I needed to go through the grieving process 100%. And I said I would do that at the beginning. The day that my husband passed, I sat there and I was like, God, you help me do this, because I don't know what I'm doing, and I need you to guide me. And I just went through all the steps of the grieving that I could, just full force.
Oh, wow. This was the first time that I grieved real time. When my mother passed, it took a while for me to grieve. Actually, anytime that I had a moment, I would tell myself, no, not right now. But what I didn't understand was, and that actually happened for at least 2 years. And what I didn't realize was that I was imploding. My health was taking a hit. I didn't realize that I was internalizing a lot of things. And so because I actually learned from that incident with grief, I learned, no, I need to process something right now. And so this was the first time that I grieved real time. And it's so different. It's so different. I was trying to find language. I was trying to sort out my feelings. And actually, it's still fairly new. But I really thank God that He is actually, it's almost like God is like my counselor.
Right. But do you think it's because you were surrounded with people that were dealing with grief as well? Because our community was talking about grief.
Yes.
And our grieving process, and we have good friends that have wrote about grief.
Yes.
And I think it gave us more language to be like, let's walk in this. Let's
yeah.
own this. Let's own our hurt. Like, it's okay to hurt.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to have emotions and feel, where we were always so empowered and we were always trying to be so strong for everybody else, that we didn't give ourselves the grace to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think that now that we're walking in this season of vulnerability
Yes.
and surrender, I think that we're able to grasp, okay, it's okay to grieve.
Right.
It's okay to show our emotions and have a safe place to do that.
Yes, and I love that word, surrender, because when you are talking about grief, you're not in control.
Right.
And it's something that, just like when I was trying to find the language, I asked God, just show me, because I wasn't, I couldn't figure out why it was even hitting me as hard. And that's because the relationship was a lot deeper than I ever could have even imagined.
Right.
And isn't it funny how you don't know what you have until it's gone? Not just that factor, but just realizing just how important are all the things that are a part of your life that was impacted by a person.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I began to look at that, especially in my everyday life and my habits, even in my sayings and my writings, I realized that some of the things that I was taught was in my everyday things.
Right.
And so realizing the magnitude of the person's impact on you is huge, and acknowledging that you're just now realizing how important they were to you. You know?
Yeah, because we do take things for granted.
Yeah, we
not,
do.
Not intentionally, not
Right.
intentionally, but when they go sooner than we think that they're gonna go,
Right.
or unexpectedly,
Right.
it's like, wow, like they did make an impact. They guided us, they showed us stuff and mentored us, or even what they really did was they let us live.
Right.
And so I think
Wow,
part
that's
of the
powerful.
part of the grieving process, are keeping their legacy alive, is to show all the stuff that they put in us.
And I love that what you just said, because that's what I realized, that when I even when I came to that particular church, I was so broken, and that's what I realized, the state of even my mind when I came and I first met my former pastor. I was in such a different place, and understanding just how much my life had changed. I served under that ministry for like 10 years, or 9 years really. But the magnitude of my start, and I can't really say a finish, because even though I had transitioned to another church, his teachings really lived throughout the things that I did. My leadership style changed. Just the way that I even view people changed. And it was because he was a great person. And, I even had a situation where, he was giving me advice about, he's like, you are struggling with a particular relationship because you're expecting the person to give you what they don't have.
Right. They didn't have the capacity.
They didn't have the capacity. And he was like, you have to look at them as a soul. And when you change your perception, you'll change your perspective. And so I just really, and I've taken that, and it is a part of who I am. And so many people ask me, how I'm so successful in my leadership, and how do I get results from people? But that's why. It's because I lead with love.
Oh, yeah.
And I look at them as people. I don't look at them as you're my subordinate. No, you're my teammate.
Right. Yeah.
But that was a result of the impact of his leadership style, even with me, because it was demonstrated. It wasn't just said. It wasn't just it wasn't just I love you. No, I felt the love.
Right.
It was demonstrated. My gifts were encouraged. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
and that makes a difference with the real leader.
Yes.
Is that you want to bring everybody up to their best level, and so you want to provide them with the space to be the best version of themselves, and so you pull that out of them, and sometimes that pulling is not comfortable. Sometimes the pulling is necessary, but it's not comfortable, and you just have to. And a real leader wants to uplift everybody, and being in the leadership space and community, you have to know that bringing those people up with you is important.
Yes. And so now I realize just how much I cherish. Not that I didn't cherish him before, but it's in his absence that I have been forced to even look at the things that I didn't see before, because I went searching. And that's the thing. Why don't we search when people are alive. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
don't
I
know
wish.
why don't we? But you know what I learned in my grieving process, and I think that you'll probably figure it out now because this is like your first major grief, is that I don't do things with regret. If I want to tell somebody or I'm thinking about that person, guess what? I'm gonna pick up the phone. I'm gonna send a text message. I'm gonna send a card, call them, and tell them immediately, because I know life can be taken away so quickly that once it's downloaded in me, I'm like, let me check on this person. Let me see if it's well with their soul. And then that way you don't have regrets. And I think when we talked about my husband passing, I loved being a wife. I took pride in being a wife. So when he did pass, yes, it was traumatic. Yes, it was devastating. But when I look back at it, I was like, I did everything I could do. There was nothing else I could do. And I wouldn't change anything from the beginning to the end. And I gave my all, and that was all I could do.
You know, love is, Sade has a song called Love is Stronger Than Pride. And we really have to let go of pride.
Right.
You know, it doesn't matter what the circumstance is. And that's what I've come to understand is that even when you feel like there is an obstacle for you reaching out to someone, you have to have that determination that, you know what, I'm not going to allow this to stop me from reaching out, because it could come to a situation where you'll never be able to speak to them again. And that's the thing. It's an eternal decision when we allow pride to rule over love.
Right.
So,
yeah, and just going for it, like just living. Like
Yeah.
I don't do anything. If I get something on my bucket list, guess what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna reach out, and I mean the worst thing that somebody could say or do is say no. And that's okay. And when God tells you no, you know, it's just a redirection. You have to pivot.
Yes.
Because everything is not perfect. Life
No.
is not perfect. And so once we navigate through life and figure out that we just have to learn how to embrace what we have or what we're given and enjoy those moments that we do have.
Yeah, with the people that
Right.
we've been blessed with, because even while living, right, there are different seasons where you do have to let people go. You know what I mean? And so this is kind of grieving while
it
living,
is.
right?
Oh yeah.
And so we have to, like, when the season has changed and it's time to move on, we have to learn how to let it go, and it's okay to process, even the reasons why, right? Well, this no longer serves me, or this has become toxic, or you know what, I've just grown, or I've been elevated.
Right.
And so no matter what the reason is, just coming to an understanding that seasons change.
Oh yeah.
We grow.
And I think that's kind of hard too, because if you're empathetic,
Mm-hmm.
letting somebody go, especially if you're a nurturer,
Yes.
if you are a nurturer
That's
and
good.
you're a server,
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to let them go.
It is.
Especially if they're still living. It's like, oh, but I can help them, or I just want them to be a certain thing, but that's not our responsibility. And learning that it's not our responsibility is really hard for an empathetic person.
Yes. And that's another thing too, because if you feel like it's your duty to actually help the person, you can become a crutch
Oh yeah.
to the person, because maybe God wants you to get out of the way so that they will only come to him.
Right.
They will seek him for the answer. They will, and he is the one who God knows the whole story.
Oh, he knows the whole
So
story.
he knows where someone is emotionally. He knows where they are with maturity with the thing. He knows where he wants to take them. So sometimes we have to get our hands off of the situation, trying to help them. And yes, you're gonna miss them.
Right.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
you're going to you're going to go through a grieving, because you're used to talking to that person. You're used to being around that person. If you allow yourself to stay longer than you should, it's not gonna be good
It's
anyway.
not. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just get worse and worse.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And then God won't even allow it there to be like peace, especially if it's a God thing, you know. And so we just have to learn how to embrace change, and it's okay. You know what? It's okay to grieve.
Yeah, it is.
It's and acknowledge your feelings. You know what? I miss so and so, but I have to make sure that I am doing the thing that God told me to do, that I am obedient to His instructions. Because if you're trying to hold on when it's time to let go, it's only making things harder.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And so you get in that and you get in your emotions and then you say in your emotions and you're sad and you're crying and you're trying to find the answer when God has all the answers already. He's already downloaded the instructions for you to proceed. And so just trusting your intuition. So we don't do that enough.
Yeah.
We don't trust what God is telling us, what He gives us internally, and just listening and being obedient.
And you know, I like that too. And you know, because it can seem real mechanical, it's like, okay, well, you just need to accept what's going on. But it's okay to have your moment. Have your moment. Go ahead and cry it out. Throw on some worship and just really give it to God. Learning how to really release the thing to God. And guess what? You might have to do that time and time again.
Yeah.
And it's okay. You know, it's okay to have those moments. Don't stay in the moment.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, don't live there. Don't move in.
Everyone deals with grief, no matter what type of grief it is. Just as long as you know what actually works for you. And it may be different for different scenarios, you know. Maybe it's, you know what, getting a new hobby. You know, improving yourself, self-improvement, because you can't get rid of something and not replace it with something. You don't want there to be a void, okay? And so even just seeking God, you know, about, okay, God, what would you have me to do next? And what should I be doing since this is gone? You know, let's say you lost a child, you know, maybe going to volunteer at the hospital would help with the grieving process. No matter what it is, we look to God for the answers. You know, so that's gonna look different.
And I did a lot of service acts. So I in my grieving process, I gave back to people.
That's good.
So I did. I remember the first Father's Day after my husband passed. I gave gifts to several men that were dads.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it uplifted them. They were seen, and I was like that. I knew how great a dad my husband was, so I was like, let me uplift some other men.
That's good.
And then I did some women uplifting, and I volunteered at the homeless shelter and with women stuff, and just helping, being out there helping and spending my vacation out being of service and giving myself took away some of that of just self guilt or self hurt. It's like, let me give back, let me help. So what you were saying about going to the hospital, just being of service.
Yes. You know, because what it is that it is a selfless act, and you're not spending time like really concentrated on this thing that, and I'm not saying that even with grief that you have to necessarily let go, but you do have to let go of what was, and embrace and embrace what's new, not just what's new, but the opportunity to because really you've come to a new person.
Oh yeah. You're just a new form of yourself.
Yes, and then, you know, just accepting before we actually lose someone or before we go through a grieving process, it's almost like we're oblivious to like things like time, how precious time is, or our interactions, or even how we do every day our habits, you know, or, you know, the idea of actually speaking to someone. You know, maybe now you may cherish good morning,
Yeah. Yeah.
making it a priority now, So what do you
Yeah.
think?
I mean, and that's the thing. And so with my heart open more. And so
Yes.
when I knew that God loved me so much that he brought me through that he helped me and he healed me, I love telling people that God loves them. I love reaching out and letting them know that they are loved, that they are worthy, and sometimes it does get them out of pain and sometimes it doesn't, because everybody has to grieve differently, and we don't always understand, because we've seen people, Carla, that are still grieving. It's like 20 years or 10 years or a lifetime, but it's just a process that everybody chooses to go through. In my grieving process, I wanted to live. I wanted to embrace the life that I had because I knew how short life was.
And what you're saying is that, because you can grieve 20 years later, but
Right.
what you're saying is they're grieving as if it just happened.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it just happened yesterday.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
how I grieved when my mom passed, where I kind of bottled it up for, 2 years, and then I began to grieve, and grieve in real time are two totally different things.
Right.
There is a release. I feel like it's healthy in real time instead of trying to hold back. It's not within me anymore. I'm releasing it out of my body, because we don't even realize it, but that affects your body. It affects your health. It's just like stressing, you know?
Yeah, it is. It's like the burden
Yeah.
on your shoulders, where it's so heavy
Yeah.
that you can't get it out, and then you forget to breathe. You forget to
Yes.
exhale.
Exhale.
Yes, and it becomes toxic, and so that toxic lives within you, and that really what it is death living within you.
Wow.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's because you're not releasing the death of a thing or a person, and so you're just keeping it in, and you're burying yourself in that grief.
That is so good, because when I tell you, my health took a hit when I kind of bottled my feelings up, and just everything that I felt for those 2 years. My health took a hit, my mental took a hit, and you can't tell yourself that it's a wrong time, when you're having a moment, because you need to let it out. And grief doesn't ask for your permission.
Oh no.
It doesn't. Your moments, they don't ask, like, you know what? Oh yeah, right now is a good time when no one's around. When no one's around, oh yeah, you can go ahead and grieve now. No, it can happen in the middle of a meeting.
Oh yeah.
It can happen right when something can trigger a memory, and you can have a moment right then. But it's okay, and I feel like just having compassion for people when they are having a moment needs to be normalized as well, too, because just kind of like even encouraging it.
Right.
Like, okay, you should have your moment. Did you need anything? Instead of,
Yeah, just to have that time to do it. So last week I had a moment. I was actually just walking and thinking I was okay, and I just had a moment, and I'm walking, so I'm yelling and screaming and really just throwing a tantrum in the middle of the road, but I was releasing anger and upsetness, and I was like, I just had the whole road to myself, so I'm just yelling, but I'm getting it out of me. I'm not letting it live within me. I express my emotions. I express what I was really feeling, what I thought, what I and just letting it out freed me. And then when I was done with my walk, I was okay.
That's good.
I was like, okay, Missy, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your growth, that you're okay to do that. And you don't try to make it look perfect. You don't try to make the grieving process a perfection thing or a mastery.
Right.
Because it's almost 4 years and I haven't mastered it. And I'm sure that, down the road I'll have these episodes again. But it's learning how to process them. It's learning how to know that it's okay, but just don't stay in it.
That's right. I love that because what I discovered, there's forgiveness even in grief. You can, sometimes people feel like, I didn't get to tell them this, or I didn't get to tell them that. But what you can do is you can accept that this person was human, you are human, and you know what happened because we are people and things happen, and it's okay. It's okay that it didn't work out. It's okay that they didn't understand me. It's okay. And you know what, like I began to really see, just anybody that I've even lost, that even if the relationship was not perfect, because nothing's perfect.
Oh, nothing's perfect, no.
But we have to be able to let go of the idea that, you know what, I should have said this, or if I would have said that, this would have happened. It's okay. Sometimes the chips fall where they fall.
Oh, yeah.
And it's okay. And when we are able to say, you know what, I love my brother in spite of, or whoever it is that you lost, in spite of, you know what, they were human. You know what, they had their moment.
Right.
I had my moment, and it's okay. It's okay, and just because in grief we realize that, what I esteem to be so high and so important really wasn't that important.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what the argument was about.
Right.
I don't remember why we weren't talking. You know what I mean? And so those things really pale in comparison to what did they really mean to me.
Right.
At the end of the day.
What
Yes.
impact? Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
It is, and it is to carry on the piece, their best parts with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And hold on to the best parts of them.
Yes. And and that goes back to, love is stronger than pride.
Right.
The things that we esteem to be so great really aren't.
No.
And this is what grief even teaches us going forward with our current relationships, with the things that we can kind of control. Right. You know what, I'm not gonna argue with you because that's not really important.
Yeah. So I hardly argue with anybody anymore. Like my arguing, it's like, okay, if you want to be right or you're right, I just let them be right. It's okay, and it doesn't even hinder me anymore. And I choose joy and peace over everything, over chaos, over disruption, over everything. And I just let them have their moment, because you don't know what people are dealing with.
That's right. And that's the thing, right? You said something key. I choose joy. See how you decide to go forward, and what you've learned even in grief is that, it doesn't matter. It's not based on what the other person's reaction is. I am not going to allow someone to control or dictate my attitude, or my approach, or even my outlook on life. I choose to move in peace. I choose to have joy and peace. The fruit of the Spirit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love.
Yes.
I choose to love. I love big.
Yes.
And I think with grief, people shut down and they forget, and they put all these boxes up.
That's good.
And they don't want to feel anymore.
Yeah.
And so their heart becomes hard, because they're like, okay, if I can control my emotions, if something else happens, I won't have to feel that. And so they use it as a coping mechanism. I love more now. I love big now.
Deeper.
Yeah, deeper, with more passion and compassion. The love is so much greater because of my loss.
Yes, exactly. And you know what has happened with me is it has canceled out fear, because even the Bible says perfect love casts out all fear, right? And so I no longer want to have limits or these different boundaries on love.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries,
Right.
because boundaries are healthy and they serve as protection.
Right.
But as far as how I decide to show that love, or how I decide to distribute that love, that's limitless.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I love big.
Yeah.
And I love a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't put those limits. And and I face a lot of fears within my grieving process. I went out and did stuff that I normally wouldn't do, that I was scared to do. And I just ventured out. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I went full force into and facing every fear that I ever thought that I had.
That's good. Wow. And I wasn't even thinking about like fear in that way.
Right.
Like facing your fears. But you know what? I no longer want to, and this is what I mean by like fear, like scared to love, or protecting myself against something because I love.
Right.
Because we love deeply, right? And so if I am hurt by someone or something, that guess what? God is God, and He can heal me.
Oh yeah.
Guess what? I'm still alive.
Well, listen, yes.
And I can learn that lesson,
right,
and move on.
Yeah, yeah, and that makes you more alive.
Yeah,
it's to know that God will heal any broken heart, any hurt, any betrayal, any deception. God can come in there and He can live if you let Him in.
He's close to the brokenhearted.
Yes, He is. He is close to the brokenhearted, and He heals deeply. He's already in you. He lives within you, and He wants you to love.
Yeah.
And not fear. Fear not.
Yeah. And you know what? I find that, just honoring those that, even especially the ones that, have gone on to be with the Lord, just honoring their memory.
Right.
What would they really want me to be doing? Would they want me to be sulking over them, or would they want me to live my life to the fullest?
Right.
But even just keeping their memory alive with even some of the things of how they actually impacted us.
Right.
And that's what I find comfort in.
Yeah, I do too. I feel like if we keep their legacy alive, or their memory alive, and what they do, they keep living. They keep living through us.
That's good.
Yeah, they planted a seed.
Yes.
Is what it is. They planted a seed.
And we're watering it.
Yes, and we're
God
watering
gives
it.
the increase.
Yes.
That's good.
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to say on grief?
No, just love big and remember that God loves you.
Yeah, and grief is a part of life. So death is a part of life, and grief is as well. And allow yourself to grieve. Allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to grieve, and allow yourself the process. Because you might find anger, and then sadness, and then joy, and then whatever you're feeling. Allow yourself to feel. Well, all right, you guys. It was great talking with you guys. We will see you next Tuesday here on Candid Conversations with Carla at 7:30 Central Standard Time. All right, I'll see you then.